Shocking statistic here on a very important health story. 1 out of every 88 American children has been diagnosed with autism. And it's a number that has almost doubled since the year 2000. That's tough enough news. But an even bigger challenge is looming for the families of children with a developmental disorder. 500,000 adults will be living with autism in the next decade. Adults who will need support, services, and understanding to help them live independent lives. America Tonight's Chris Bury with an incredible story of one man and his mother who are learning to let go.
So thanks for letting us come to your apartment.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Looks like a nice place.
It is.
40-year-old Brandon Kramer is showing us his small but cozy apartment in Santa Monica. It's filled with family knickknacks and prized possessions.
This is my stereo and my entertainment center.
Your entertainment center is right here.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my chair and my bed and my lights and my computer table. And
oh, nice. So this is your office almost?
Yeah, my office with my iPad. And
one of his favorite gizmos is this bright red button, familiar from a TV commercial. He says it brightens his mood.
That was easy.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, and then I have this thing that makes me feel better too.
So if you're ever feeling a little blue or something, you can go to one of these things, huh?
If I ever feel blue or a little out of it and I feel like getting even happier, I do that.
He was so tiny. It was like, as my grandmothers say, he was like a little chicken.
But things have not been easy for Brandon or for his mother, Amalia. As a newborn, he was tiny, barely 5 pounds. And from the time Brandon was a toddler, his mother knew he was not developing like other children.
I noticed his speech, or lack of it. Words would come out jumbled, mixed up. I thought, though, when he was 2.5, it would be really a good thing for me to put him in preschool or nursery school. And when I did that, the teacher said, he won't play with anybody. He just plays on the side by himself, and he does one thing over and over and over again.
By the time Brandon was 9, he was having seizures. The diagnosis, epilepsy. Back then, a doctor urged his mother to keep it secret. But Brandon continued to struggle in school. Socially, he was awkward, an easy target for bullies.
I put him into the public school, another mistake that I made. I mainstreamed him, didn't tell anybody what was wrong, and he got beat up every day, almost every single day.
Beat up?
Beat up.
Physically?
Physically. Emotionally, physically. His shoes were taken off his feet on hot black tar. We're outside in the schoolyard.
Bullying?
Bullying.
As Brandon got older, the bullying only got worse.
He wanted to play basketball like the other kids, and he'd play basketball, but his eye-hand coordination was so poor that he had very slow movement, and therefore he couldn't make a basket, couldn't catch the ball. And the kids were smart. They knew that he couldn't catch the ball, so they just throw it at his face, and he couldn't stop it in time. They had broken his nose several times.
Even then, Brandon had been diagnosed only with epilepsy. Not until years later, after a psychologist friend gave her a book on autism, did Amalia realize her son was afflicted.
And I read the book. I checked every single box was Brandon, every single one. Can't make a friend, communication difficulty.
He had all the attributes of an autistic person.
Every single one. I remember being so relieved and yet saddened at the same time.
For Amalia Starr and other parents of autistic children, support from public education typically ends after high school. Most states stop special education at age 18. A few, including California, provide some support until age 22. Then the families are on their own.
What's it like for parents of autistic children when that educational support suddenly ends?
Parents are scared to death. The number one question is, what will happen to my children or my child after my husband and I die? And along comes with that is, what will happen to him as an adult.
There we go.
Amalia was able to help Brandon find this apartment in a government-subsidized housing complex. It's tiny, less than 400 square feet, but Brandon is able to live here independently with financial help from Social Security. He's been on his own now for 16 years.
Yeah, I like it a lot because I can like come and go as I please. I don't have to worry about, and I just feel happier.
And you don't have to worry about somebody checking up on you. You're your own man.
Exactly, and then every so often, my mom checks on me on the phone or whenever she comes out here, and then I call her and let her know what's going on and stuff like that.
We take a right here or keep going?
Keep going.
Okay.
Fewer than 1 in 10 autistic adults hold a full-time job, according to Social Security. Brandon is unable to work because his epileptic seizures can be severe. He cannot drive or ride a bike. So he spends his days walking the sunny streets of Santa Monica.
What is this called here?
Oh, the promenade. It's like a outdoor mall, and it's easy for me because I can walk everywhere, and it's nice.
Good place for you to be independent.
Exactly, because there's everything for me to do.
Sometimes Brandon runs errands and fetches coffee for the jeweler, one of his better friends in the neighborhood.
It's a beautiful day. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and you look good today. Look at you.
Yeah, I
All
got
fresh and.
Yeah, all fresh, all dressed up just for having fun.
And he likes to visit with the paramedics who've rushed him to the hospital after his epileptic seizures.
Then you have the old one over here.
Yeah, this is our Mac right here.
Oh,
1952.
wow. Yeah, that one's kind of cool.
Over lunch, Brandon tells me he feels safe and secure here, at least until the sun goes down.
What's this neighborhood like?
Oh, the neighborhood is nice unless you have to be careful certain times of the day or night. And then
You have to be careful?
just a little bit, because sometimes at night it kind of gets a little, and then when
A little rough?
well, yeah, and then when it gets overwhelming with things, then I go home and relax because sometimes you get overloaded with people out here too.
In California, where Brandon lives, more than 70,000 individuals have been diagnosed with autism. Most of them are children. And over the last 10 years, the number of cases across the country has exploded by more than 80%. That means a tidal wave of autistic adults are on the way, nearly 500,000 over the next 10 years.
Brandon's mother is on a mission to help other parents help their autistic children carve a path to independence.
I have such an admiration for those of you who blaze the trail for the rest of us.
At a recent conference in Orlando, more than 1,000 parents and professionals showed up to hear her keynote speech.
A lot of us become stuck like glue. And how could we be anything else? We're codependent. We allow our children to grow and maybe one day go. They'll have a better life now and after we're gone. I didn't know it was locked.
Thank
Come
you.
on
How are you
in.
doing?
Nice
Good
to see you.
Now, Amalia Starr has made a career of counseling parents of autistic children who are entering adulthood.
They'll get there when they get there. And it'll be perfect timing for them. Maybe not for us, but for them.
Molly Harris is laying the groundwork so her 19-year-old son James can live and thrive on his own.
What's your biggest concern about him becoming independent, leaving your home?
I think the biggest concern is that one of them is that he'd have something to do, like to have a job, but also it's safety because James is, he's naive and trusting. So we do need to work with teaching him about, what's safe, what's not safe, where do you go if you need help, how to ask for help, that sort of thing.
When we as parents can understand that our children will live 75% of their lifetime as adults, and much of that time is without us, our job, whether they're 2 years old and newly diagnosed, or they're 22, our job is to help those children reach maximum independence. That's our job. Our next job after that is to learn the art of letting go.
Sometimes I play this CD and it doesn't work.
For Amalia, letting go has not been easy, but now she sees her adult son only once a month or so.
I think it's time for a new one, just like all the other stuff.
Okay, so that's a good thing to put on your list.
Yeah.
And Brandon, too, has some advice for others dealing with autism.
What do you say to other autistic adults who are a little worried about maybe leaving mom and dad and going off on their own? What do you tell them?
I tell them, look at me and how I've done, and you can do it too.
Now Brandon hopes to join his mother on the speaking circuit, spreading the gospel of independence to other families struggling with autism.
Hey, Brand, look.
What?
Look what's going now. The Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
They represent the leading edge of a giant wave, the new generation of autistic men and women confronting the challenge of leaving childhood behind and succeeding on their own as adults. Chris Bury, Al Jazeera, Santa Monica, California.